Now we'll be solving some past questions so that you can see how we apply the concepts that I've learned to solve practical questions. So first, we are told to evaluate the inequality x over 2 plus 3 over 4 is less than or equals to 5x over 6 minus 7 over 12. So we write that out. We have x over 2 plus 3 over 4 is less than or equals to 5x over 6 minus 7 over 12. So we collect like time by bringing the x terms here and the numbers to the other side. So we have x over 2 minus 5x over 6 is less than or equals to minus 7 over 12 minus 3 over 4. So we can find the LCM. The LCM here is 6. So 2 in 6 is 3 times x gives me 3x. 6 in 6 is 1 times 5 giving minus 5x is less than or equals to the LCM here is what? 12. 12 in 12 is 1 and 1 times minus 7 gives me minus 7. 4 in 12 is 3 and 3 times minus 3 give me minus 9. Now if I multiply both sides by 12, this cancels this, and if I multiply by 12, I have what? 6 here 1, 6 here 2. So I'm left with 2 times what is 3x minus 5? 3x minus 5 is what? Minus 2x is less than or equals to minus 7 minus 9 gives me what? Minus 16. So what is 2 times minus 2x? I have what? Minus 4x is less than or equals to minus 16. So I'll write that out here. So I have minus 4x is less than or equals to minus 16. So what do I do now? I have to divide both sides by minus 4. And when I divide both sides by a negative number, what do I do to the inequality sign? I reverse it. So I have what? X now, and minus 4 minus cancel minus 12 is 4 is what? Greater than or equals to 4. So that becomes the solution to this inequality. And what option corresponds to that? That will be option B. So the answer to this question is what? Is B. Now let's move on to the next example. Now we are told to find the range of values of x that satisfy the inequalities. 4x minus 7 is less than or equals to 3x, and 3x minus 4 is less than or equals to 4x. As you recall, what we have to do now is to try to solve each inequalities separately. Then we'll try to combine the results. So let's get started. So the first inequality we are told is what? 4x minus 7 is less than or equals to 3x. So collect like time. So we have 4x minus 3x is less than or equals to, when this comes over here, you have 7. 4x minus 3x is x. So you have x is less than or equals to 7. Now, the second inequality is given as what? Is given as 3x minus 4 is less than or equals to 4x. So we'll try to solve this also. We bring this over here. So we have 3x. When this comes here, it becomes what? Minus 4x is less than or equals to, and when it comes here, it becomes 4. So 3x minus 4x becomes minus x is less than or equals to 4. So I have to divide both sides by minus 1. And since I'm dividing both sides by a negative number, I have to reverse the inequality sign. So this becomes what? X is what? Greater than or equals to minus 4. So what do I have to do now? I have to combine both results together, and to help me with that, I'm going to sketch out the result on the number line. And on the number line, for the first value, I have x is less than or equals to 7. So here I have x being less than or equals to 7. So I have what? This coming over here like this. And for the second one, I have what? X greater than or equals to minus 4. So I have x being greater than or equals to minus 4. So I have this coming in this direction. So as you can see, the range of value would be the values that would have fall in between this region here, and that can be represented as what? Minus 4 is less than or equals to x, which is less than or equals to 7. So the answer to this question is what? Is A. So the correct option is A. Now let's move on to the third example. So we are told that the shaded region above is represented by the equation. So now we are given a graph over here, as you can see, and I'm sorry that the graph is not really clear, for you can see the main point over there. And the region that is shaded here is the region below the line. So we are told to find out which equation represents this. And if you would note, this is what two variables, inequalities of two variables, because you have both x and y. So what is the first thing that we have to do? So in this case now, we are told and we can see that the region below is shaded. So what is the first thing that it tells us? It tells us that the inequality sign has to be what? Less than or equals to. Because it is when it is less than or equals to, as you recall, that will shade below the line. If it is shaded above the line, then we know that it is greater than or equals to. So we know that option B cannot be the answer, because you have greater than or equals to. It can either be A, C, or D, but we don't know which it is. So the next thing we have to do now is to find the equation of that line. And now the formula for finding the equation of a straight line is given as what? Y minus y1 over x minus x1 is equals to y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. I know that we did not cover this under this topic, and you should note now that most questions that you come across, or some questions you come across, are not fixed or limited to one topic. They require you to use knowledge from two or more topics to answer them, and this is an example. So if you don't have knowledge of equation of a straight line, you can try to look at the section of equation of straight line and try to see how we work around it. So this is the formula. So what we have to do now is to label the coordinates. So the coordinates here, we'll call here x1 and y1, and we label here as what? X2 and y2. So we just fix in the equation. So we have y minus, what is our y1? Our y1 is 4 over x minus, what is our x1? Our x1 is 0, must be equals to, what is our y2? Our y2 is 0, and our y1 is 4 over our x2 is 1, our y1 is 0. So we have what? Y minus 4 over x must be equals to minus 4 over 1. And when we cross multiply, what are we left with? We have what? Y minus 4 is equals to minus 4x. So we have to make y the surrogate of formula. So what do we have? We have y is equals to minus 4x plus 4. So now we already have it in this form. And as we've noted before, since the region below the line is shaded, it indicates that the symbol that should be there should be what? Less than or equals to. So we can replace this equal to sign with less than or equals to. So this now becomes y is less than or equals to minus 4x plus 4. And that corresponds to what? Option C. So the correct answer to this question is what? Is C. Now let's look at another example. And in this example is really interesting example. Asks us that the shaded area that gives the solution set for the inequalities, this and this, is which of these? Is it A, B, C, or D? So now what do we have to do? Like we've discussed before, we have to try to solve this, then we have to try to solve this, then we sketch both of them in a graph, and the area where both of them intersect is the desired result or the solution set. So first, let's start out with the first inequality sign, inequality over there. So we have what? X plus y is less than or equals to 3. So first, we make y the surrogate of formula. So we have what? Y is less than or equals to 3 minus x. So what do? If you recall, we find the value when x equals to 0 and when y equals to 0, so we can get the coordinate. So when x equals to 0, what is the value of y? The value of y when x is equals to 0 is what? Y will be equals to 3 minus 0, and what would that be? And that will be what? 3. Now we find the value of x when y equals to 0. So when y equals to 0, value of x will be 0 is equals to 3 minus x. So I know that what? My x also will be equals to 3. So my coordinates here will be what? 0, 3, and my coordinates here will be what? 3, 0. Value of my x is 3 and value of my y is 0. Now we take the second inequality sign and solve it in the same fashion. So here now we have what? x minus y is less than or equals to 3. So we'll make y the sum of formula. So minus y is less than or equals to 3 minus x. To move the minus, you have to divide both sides by minus 1. So if we divide both sides by minus 1, we have what? Y. Then we have to change inequality sign to greater than or equals to. Then we have minus 1 divided by 3, which gives me minus 3. And minus x divided by minus 1, which gives me what? Plus x. So I find the value of x when y is 0. So when x is equals to 0, what is the value of y? The value of y will be given as what? Minus 3 plus 0, which is equals to what? 3. So we solve now when y is equals to 0. So when y equals to 0, I know that 0 is equals to minus 3 plus x. So I know that what? My x will be equals to what? So when I bring this over here, I know that minus x is equals to minus 3. So I know that my x, if I divide both sides by minus 1, I know that my x is equals to 3. So if there's a mistake here, as you can see, y is equals to minus 3 plus 0, which is minus 3. So the coordinates here are what? 0, minus 3 and what? 3, 0. So what is the next step? We try to sketch this out on the Cartesian plane. So now, to do that, we first sketch out the graph in our x and y plane. So we have this. We have what? X and our y, and here we have what? Minus 3. We have 3, and we have what? 3, and we have minus 3. So the first graph now, or the first inequality, we are told that when x is equals to 0, y is equals to 3. So when x is equals to 0, y is equals to 3, we have it over here. And we know that when x is equals to 3, y is 0. So when x is 3, y is 0. So that comes like this, straight line down. And now we are told that y is less than or equals to. So the region of interest here will be the region that is below this line. So we have this region over here. Now, the second inequality now, which is given as the red. So now for the other one now, we are told that when x is 0, y is minus 3. So when x is 0, y is minus 3. We have this point over here. And we know that when x is 3, y is 0. When x is 3, y is 0. So we have this point also. So we draw a line over here. And in this second case, we are told that what? That y is greater than or equals to. So the value of y will lie above this line. So now the value of y will lie above this line like this. So now, if we look at it critically, what will be our set of solution? As we have discussed before, our set of solution will be the region in which the two lines intersect with each other or overlap with each other. And if you can see carefully, this is the region in which the two lines overlap with each other. So which of our option corresponds to that? So if we look at our graph, you can see that the graph was plotted from this region over here, from this y-axis over here. So if we just consider this region that is being shown, the right hand side, we can see that the region where it overlaps is this region over here. So you have a triangle like this. I have the inside here overlapping. So the region of the set of solution will be the region that is inside this section over here that I'm shading. So the answer to this question will be the option in which this area here is shaded, and the place in which that internal part is shaded is what? Is option B. So the answer to this question is what? Is option B. So here is the next question. We are told to solve the inequalities. X squared plus 2x is greater than 15. So to start with, I'm going to rewrite this out. So I have x squared plus 2x is greater than 15. And what I want to do is to make it 0. So I have to bring this 15 to the left hand side. So I have x squared plus 2x minus 15 is greater than 0. So I have to factorize. And I factorize by multiplying this first term by the last term, which gives me minus 15x squared. Then I ask myself, what numbers would I multiply together to get minus 15x squared, such that when I add or subtract those two numbers, I'll get plus 2x, and that is going to be what? 5x and minus 3x. 5x times minus 3x will give me minus 15x squared, while 5x plus minus 3x will give me 2x. So I replace 2x with this, so I have what? X squared plus 5x minus 3x minus 15 is greater than 0. So I factorize, x is common here and I'm left with x plus 5, and minus 3 is common here and I'm left with x plus 5 is greater than 0. So I pick one of these, x plus 5. So I have x plus 5 and x minus 3 is greater than 0. Now what do we do next? Now we know that the product of these two quantities gives me a number that is positive. So in what two ways can this be achieved? Either both quantities or both terms here are positive or both of them are negative. So in the first scenario, either both of them are what? Are positive. So that means either x plus 5 is greater than 0 and x minus 3 is greater than 0. So if we solve that, we have x is greater than minus 5 and we have x is greater than 3. So when we want to combine this, we look at the number line, which is we have 0 and we have minus 5 here and we have 3 over here, and we are told that x is greater than minus 5 and we are told that x is also greater than what? 3. So as we can see, the region in which these two lines overlap is in this region here, in which x is greater than 3. So I select this second option, in which x is what? Is greater than 3. So now I move on to the next condition, and the next condition, I have to have both as negative numbers. So if both of them are negative, what does it mean? It means that either x plus 5 is less than 0 or x minus 3 is less than 0. So in this case, I have x is less than minus 5 or x is less than 3. So now I try to draw this also in what? The number line, or on the number line, which I have 0 here and I have minus 5 over here and I have 3 over here. So I have x being less than 3, so which will be this, x is less than 3, and I'm told also that x is less than minus 5. So as you can see, the region in which these two lines are being satisfied is in this region here, where what? X is less than minus 5. So I select x is less than minus 5. So I select this. So the two solutions will be what? It's going to be x is greater than 3 or x is less than minus 5. And what option corresponds to that? That will be option D. So the answer to this question is what? Is D. X greater than 3 or x is less than minus 5. Now let's move on to the last question we'll be examining, and this has to do with absolute inequality. So here we are told to solve for x if the absolute value of x minus 2 is less than 3. So as we've discussed, we are going to consider the two instances in which the quantity inside there is positive and the other scenario in which the quantity inside there is negative. So for the positive scenario, we have plus into bracket x minus 2 is less than 3. So I have x minus 2 is less than 3 and I have x is less than 3 plus 2. So I have what? X is less than 5. For the negative scenario, I have negative in the bracket x minus 2 is less than 3. So this becomes minus x plus 2 is less than 3. And I have what? Minus x is less than 3 minus 2. And I have minus x is less than 1. And if I divide both sides by minus 1, since I'm divided by a negative number, I revert the inequality sign. So I have is greater than 1. Is greater than minus 1. There's going to be a minus 1 here now. So 1 divided by minus 1 will give me a minus 1. So my x is greater than minus 1. So I try to combine these two inequalities together. And if I look on my number line, I have x minus 1 over here and I have 5 over here. And I'm told that x is what? Greater than minus 1. So x is greater than minus 1. And at the same time, x is less than 5. X also is less than 5. So we can see that the region will be the portion in between these two curves. And it can be written as what? Minus 1 is less than x which is less than 5. Another way to look at it is x greater than minus 1 can also be written as what? Minus 1 is less than x. And since you have written minus 1 is less than x, then I know that x must be less than 5, so we can just add that to that, x is less than 5. So we have minus 1 is less than x which is less than 5. So the correct answer to this question is what? A. So this wraps up our topic on inequalities. So I want you now to go through the examples over or the course if you don't understand anything, and finally you should try to go through the exercises and try to attempt the questions that are there so that you can be sure that you understand. Also, you can go to the JAMB past questions and try to look for additional questions that are relating to inequalities so that you can really equip yourself with the necessary skills you need to tackle problems that have to do with inequalities. So that will be all for now. Bye.